Dave, let's get straight to the point. You're here to represent sponsors, and they're the lifeblood of any football club, but particularly Nuneaton Borough Football Club, because it was on its knees 3 years ago and sponsors had to rally at the bequest of Jimmy Giannelli to help the club survive. Just take us back to that period, because I know you were involved.
Yeah, so that was a very dark period of the club where we had a meeting here with a number of people who are Nuneaton Borough supporters, and there was a rallying cry with the co-op, and it was a case of, do we let it go under? I couldn't see that, let that do, because there's so many great people in Nuneaton that we need to help with that football club. So we all chipped in and give it a chance.
But at the time, that was money, wasn't it? It was
cash, yeah. It's cash. At the end of the day, that's what I needed, and that just bought time. All that did is bought time to find out what the real debt was.
And when that was discovered, and it was a huge amount of money that was owed, presumably the sponsors were there again to sort of help restructure the debt, bail the club out.
Yeah, I mean it's a continuing thing, really. It's always been a struggle since day one, but now I can see we're just getting over the edge of that, and I can see a positive future going forward. But it's not just the sponsors, it's been the whole people of the Nuneaton. The people of Nuneaton got behind Jimmy Giannelli, and it's a fantastic story, and it's still carrying on. I mean, I don't think people realise what they've done until they sit back and see what they've done, because as a financial person, I would have said, stick it under, it ain't worth it. Start again. And there's still some more challenges, but I can see, because we've got the right people there now, that's got the heart of the club and the community going forward. I think it's going to go in the right direction.
And we'll talk about that and the people, and you're right, and a massive difference that individuals can make, not just the companies they represent or own. So there are a lot of people out there, perhaps who aren't football fans or not fans of Nuneaton, who would say, well, you get what you deserve. You know, if you spend more than you're earning, tough. Why should we bail you out? Why should we get involved? What would you say to them?
I wouldn't disagree, to be honest. But it's this club is so an integral part of this community. We're a footballing town, really, compared to, if you look at Leamington and Warwick and all those sorts of places. And there's such a massive potential. When we've done the researches, we could be on the same level as Ipswich Town, Tranmere Rovers, at the same sort of community. It really depends on who's driving the focus of this club and it's going forward. I was a member of the co-op, and half the time it was frustration, but now there's an open policy. Jimmy Giannelli is purely football. If it weren't for him and the people who were around us, I wouldn't be involved.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You know, I live over in those parts where you mentioned, Warwick, Leamington, and I think Leamington is a footballing town, but I understand what you're saying. I think maybe Nuneaton's industrial past lends itself to that sort of perhaps archaic working class view that football is our game, and that maybe in other parts of Warwickshire it's not seen the same way. But for Nuneaton and the community of Nuneaton, the football club brings everybody together on a good day, doesn't it? And it divides people as well on a bad day.
Yeah, we're a big family, aren't we? Everybody's got their own different points of view. I can't affect what's on the football, but I truly believe this town has got massive potential that's not been tapped into. I mean, when I had the naming rights of the stadium in 2014-15, it was called the James Parnell J.D. Rough Stadium, if people remember that. But there was a lot of goodwill from people with the focus of the football club that did lots and lots of things for my lads' charity. And I thought, wow, I didn't expect it. Knitting clubs, there was the co-op, the biscuits, the independent supporters. It was unbelievable. So helping them out was my opportunity to give back. And now I'm sort of part of the plaster and the bricks.
I remember those days really well, because again, I think I got involved with doing interviews with James and your family, just to see how we could progress that charity work. And I think, having been a former commercial manager of the football club, and you go in for the money, I always used to think, why would you give a football club money? There's so many other good causes out there. more deserving causes, charities like your son's that you could give money to. So why on earth would anybody want to give money to a football club? And I remember almost feeling a bit of a fraud going to people. My idea was to give something back to them, so maybe marketing opportunities, exposure. But as a sponsor, you talk about Nuneaton with pride, but really, why should anybody get involved?
Again, it's down to the people in Nuneaton, and I would think also, if you've got the values that you're, the right values, we attract those sort of people here. So it's not all about making money, it's about giving back to the community as well. I enjoy football, but I actually enjoy the people who are here, people like Stuart Elliott, Stuart Plumbing's been here years, Keith Davis, there's loads of other people. There's people who are not here like Roger Barnes and Rex Spencer and your dad and everybody else. It's all part of the ethos as out in Nuneaton Borough. So, and things happen naturally. So within business, you support the Nuneaton Borough. I get that recognition all the time. They've lost this week or whatever. And it does come back, but you don't chase the money for being a sponsor. It's part of the package that comes with it, and good people attract good people.
And I know that prior to this interview, you were writing a list of people, and we've had to stop on page 3 because there are so many that are now involved. And do you know, I always said this, whether Jimmy Gillespie is the greatest football manager in the world, we'll wait to see. I think he's one of the best commercial managers ever. The money he's generated or galvanised. I mean, he's cheeky, he's charming, he's direct.
It's Nuneaton.
And he's Nuneaton, and that I think is the thing. And I try explaining that to people in other parts of Warwickshire, that there's something unique about Nuneaton, and there's a generosity that you don't always find elsewhere. People will give you their last penny. When you see people going around with a bucket, and I remember at Manor Park, the blanket collections, people who I knew hadn't got a lot of money were contributing.
Yeah, that's Nuneaton, isn't it?
And that's the sponsors. And there are a lot of new sponsors on board, and I know from personal experience how hard that is to get people on board. So why, we can romanticise about being from Nuneaton, why are they getting involved?
Well, like I say, we want to make it progressive, and I want to make this club sustainable. So this is why I'm involved, and it's for me personally, it's not so much the commercialism; it's really to build something in the future that's sustainable, and that's But you get the other attractions with it. You've got a massive audience. If you want to work it for commercialism as well, you can do. There's lots of people down here to help. But you're in the right environment. It's a pleasure to come here now. It used to be years ago, it was a bit of a ball ache, but now we've just got the right people around it. It's a great environment.
It is a great environment. And I came to a game the other week, wasn't working for the radio, and I thought, I'm just going to go. And it wasn't so much to watch the game, it's because you meet lots of people, your friends, people who know my dad. I'm sorry to hear about your dad, Dave. You meet new people, and there's a nice feel. Even when the team have lost, of course, you want them to win. And it's the same amongst the sponsors, isn't it? The sponsors are really together on this, aren't they?
Yeah, they build into the ethics and morals on it. I don't want to romanticise it, but it's just they want to be part of that. If you want to brand it, they want that Nuneaton Borough brand, if you want to call it some sort of commercialism. And you could work it, if you really wanted to work, you've got a customer base, client base, you've got the HIP, you've got the websites, whatever you need to do. But I think, me personally, it's all about the community coming together, and the finances will look after themselves, really, with my business, because you are what you are, aren't you? You are as an individual. It's so our business is very personal. So
yeah,
as you know.
Well, exactly. And there's the other thing. I remember my dad, bless him, he would always say to me, we needed some work done on his house. Lived in Nuneaton all his life, Attleborough born, and it was electrical work, and we didn't know who to go to. And he said, find one from the football club, and we literally took the number off a board. Yeah. He said, I like to support those who've supported my club. Exactly. And quite often he would put his business with those people, those sponsors that had given something to the football club. That was his way of sort of contributing, and that's again, it's a nice thing for Nuneaton people to do, isn't it?
Yeah, and to be honest, you won't get away with it in the Neaton because if you've got a bad reputation, it catches up with you, doesn't it? Because
Everybody knows everybody. That's
exactly.
For sure.
So, that's just the people in the Neaton. It's our unique little corner of the world.
And I always think as well, when we talk about sponsors, you do think about money and going for the money because, you know, it's expensive running a football club and there's players' wages. And I used to get questioned about that, you know, whose wage is this paying, you know, and if it's a player who's not playing well and he's not doing well, why are you paying him? But it's more than that, isn't it? You know, there are people that give things in kind, materials, time.
Time's the biggest one.
Time's
the biggest one. I mean, that's why, again, on my list, there's people like from, I know, Chelsea's on the gate to Kevin Bosworth and Keith Davis and all that give so much of their time and effort
and skill. Because some people have got a skill that, you know, they can give to the football club that would cost the club thousands to go and buy in. And someone said, you know what, I'll give you half a day and I'll come and, I don't know, redo the driveway or whatever it might be.
Well, look at that, the drive. I mean, who else in the Neaton apart from Jimmy can get round and get the driveway repaired? Yeah. I know it's not perfect, but he galvanises that.
I think there's a thing, isn't there, that people will, you know, it's a bit like when they do these telethons, isn't it? They used to be called on TV, you know, we need to raise this much or we need to get this much stuff in. Again, going back, we were having a garage clearance. I see on Facebook, Jimmy needs a new vacuum cleaner. We've got one. Take it down the football club. I could easily have given it to a charity shop, but it's still here and it's still working and it means a lot, doesn't it? It's a vacuum cleaner, but people can donate as well as give sponsorship.
Yeah, I mean, obviously sponsorship is what the club needs, really, because that's the driver of the playing budget and stuff like that. And for any other sponsors that want to get involved, I'd highly recommend it if you're in Neaton business. I always get frustrated at somebody like Holland Barrett and all these bigger companies in Neaton. Why not involved? Why wouldn't they want to get involved with your local football team when you've got your local community running this? Now, that might be an individual
I think with any of those, the decision is made much higher up, isn't it? I think the local staff and managers would probably love that, but the decisions are made much higher up. And quite often those bigger companies give to a national cause, don't they? Not always the local causes, but here we would want them to.
Well, of course they should. You know, why not? Because you know, if you don't ask the questions, but so there's a lot. I think there's a lot to get out from the sponsorship if you want to work. You know, there's the networking part of it. You just meet the right people.
People do pass business to people.
Oh,
we know that,
all the
they?
time,
You know, especially within the trades.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking for an accountant, you're looking for a financial planner, you're looking for some plumbing equipment, you're looking for an electrician.
Exactly.
You know, forget the old Yellow Pages and the modern Google. Yeah. Someone in that boardroom on a Saturday will know someone who can come and sort you out.
And it's word of mouth, isn't it? It's always the best thing than all that sort of.
And the other thing about the sponsor, and you've mentioned, and there's still new ones coming on, and they're getting enticed and seduced almost into this, especially because the club is in a good place at the moment. It could be better, but it's in a reasonably good place. And quite a lot of them, they would love a few extra bits of marketing. But they're unsung, aren't they? They don't want the recognition. They don't want to. Everyone keeps saying, well, why isn't there a board? You know, really complex board. No, nobody wants to be on it, do they?
No, there's a lot of people in there who just do it for the right reasons. Yeah. You know, they want the recognition. I mean, there's far more interesting people that should be sitting here, really, that does a lot more. People like Stuart Elliott, who does a hell of a lot. Crown Stips, and there's a lot of people here, really. They should be praised, really, for what they're doing, but they won't seek it.
And they would, wouldn't they? If it was down to me, there'd be some sort of yes, you can have a board around the pitch, but there ought to be a wall with a legacy wall of people who.
Honestly, I don't think they want to be on it. They wouldn't want to be on it. No, they wouldn't want to.
Don't tell anybody that say I'll give you this, but don't tell anybody. I mean, that's just amazing.
They wouldn't want to. They do it because Dave Sharpe's involved. They do it because Jimmy Ginelli's involved. They do it, well, I'll help Jimmy, he's a good bloke. I like Dave Sharpe, he's a good bloke. I'll help Keith Davis, he's a good bloke. And because they're a good bloke, they'll attract the other different people. Yeah. And we obviously want to be successful on the pitch. I mean, that season, I didn't even see him in the game when we got relegated. I never see him win a game. But we had this gallows humour about it and
Well, I
keep
remember
going.
because every time you came, I used to say, "Oh, great! Now we're going to lose," because every time you turned up, they lost.
About 5
Home and
years
away,
away,
I think.
5 years of not winning seeing an away game. Yeah. And then we won at Lowestoft 2-0, and then it was called off because of COVID. It didn't count. So
So you're you're a very generous man, but you're also the bogey person, as it were. But if a sponsor was looking, I mean, let's not call them sponsors. If somebody wants to get involved with a football club, and the reward would be being involved, wouldn't it? That is its own reward.
There's so much you could do down here, but once you get sucked in, you think, well, I could do this and I can do that and I can do, and so you could market your business very well down here with the right people.
And then, of course, there's all the formal channels as well, the social channels. You know,
exactly.
things are hitting. Twitter followers are up in the 20,000s, and you know, so for people who are keen to be, because some people will say, listen, my boss is monitoring this, my marketing spend has got to be spent wisely. What metrics can you give me? Well, there's that as well. New business is the biggest metric. How much have you won? But also, it's how many.
Depends on the nature of the business, doesn't it? So
how many views you're getting and all
exactly.
That.
And also, I mean, I suppose Dan Atchinson is the guy to talk to about the feedback and the data on that. But yeah, I mean, it's you've got a football fan obviously helps, and being local helps as well, and and then once you get the passion for it, it's
addictive.
It's a good and a bad thing. It can cost a lot of money as well, but it's a good investment in other ways. So,
well, and
I mean,
I'm sure you'd be telling people in your profession that you can
don't
offset it against tax or some kind of
sponsor you can. So.
But Dave, you know, we go back a long way. It's great to see that you're still involved, because I know some sponsors have left, perhaps sometimes under a cloud. But you know, we'd welcome them back and come and try the club out, because it's a different club. It's evolving all the time, isn't it?
I think that there is a plan. There's I don't know if we mentioned the CIC, but we've got the sustainability, the future of the club. There's a plan for that as well.
Yeah, and that's a community interest club, which is a nice model, isn't it? It would keep the town involved, and it will keep the club alive, wouldn't it? Rather than as a commercial venture.
Hopefully, with the co-op and all the other people, that can either look for new ground, or hopefully we get a longer lease so we can do other improvements and stuff like that and get grants. And without being political, you've got a lot of the people behind it, like Marcus Jones and all that sort behind that plan. And there is plans, so it's just, but it needs money to move that forward as well. But as a brand for that, it's something that I think commercially there's lots of opportunities with the way the club's going forward as well. And like I say, this could be massive. There's lots and lots of opportunities. Is that I think sometimes the people in the Nuneaton think they're down there, but they aren't. They're not really. And,
you know, we mentioned it before, we always think of money, but, you know, if we need 500 quid for a door, because we've had a break-in.
Craig Strong.
Yeah. Well, we know somebody who, I can't give you the 500 quid, but I'll give you the door.
Exactly.
I'll get you the door. So that's brilliant. Well, look, on behalf of all Nuneaton people and fans, you're in touch with a lot of the sponsors. So if you could pass on our thanks for their involvement, because there are a lot of unsung heroes, as I see them, who have helped this club survive in the last few years and hopefully taken us on to a whole new level.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
If you want more information about Nuneaton Borough Football Club, sign up to our social media channels or go to the website.